Welcome to this explainer. Look, right now, academia is completely locked in this massive arms race between AI generation tools and AI trackers. And honestly, it can be a pretty terrifying landscape to navigate as a researcher. I mean, you want that amazing efficiency of AI, right? But you absolutely cannot risk a false plagiarism flag, or worse, compromising your academic integrity. So today, we're giving you a complete, step-by-step roadmap. We're going to look at exactly how researchers can safely navigate the 2026 AI landscape to write their dissertations without losing their minds or their integrity.
Don't worry, we've got a highly structured roadmap for you today that mirrors your actual dissertation timeline. We're going over process over product, Stage 1, source discovery, Stage 2, citation mapping, Stage 3, data analysis, Stage 4, evaluative feedback, and finally, ethical AI disclosure. Let's jump right in.
Section 1, process over product. Okay, let's dive into this, because this is the overarching philosophy for everything we do here. Before we even look at a single piece of software, we absolutely have to establish the golden rule. This quote from Grad Coach needs to be your guiding mantra moving forward. Use AI tools that help facilitate your process, not tools that produce your product. Think about it. AI can easily skim 50 papers, so you only have to deeply read the 10 most relevant ones. That's the heavy lifting. That's the process. But AI cannot write your methodology chapter. That is the product. At the end of the day, you still have to read, you still have to synthesize, and you have to make all the intellectual decisions.
I like to think of it as the difference between a ghostwriter and a sparring partner. If you hand an entire chapter over to a generative model and treat it like a ghostwriter, it completely ruins your voice. Literally, your tone changes, your vocabulary shifts, and the whole timbre of your writing just becomes, well, generic. And trust me, reviewers spot it instantly. Instead, treat AI like an interlocutor, a sparring partner. Use it to test your ideas, refine your paper structure, or summarize a really dense source so you can check your own comprehension before you even start typing.
And here's a critical reason why focusing on the process over the product is just absolutely crucial right now. Universities are aggressively using AI trackers, and guess what? They are wildly inaccurate. I mean, simply using Grammarly Plus can get your 100% original work flagged. In fact, AI models absolutely love using the em punctuation mark, which means students who just naturally use the em are getting falsely accused of using AI. It's a total minefield out there. The only safe way forward is keeping the actual writing entirely in your own hands.
Section 2, Stage 1, Source Discovery. This is all about finding that very first paper.
So, you're staring at a literal mountain of literature, and a basic web search is just going to bring back way too much unvetted noise. Here is your core discovery stack, built specifically on locked scholarly databases. For quick, evidence-backed answers, you want to use consensus. Now, if you need to find and compare papers side by side or extract data, Elicit is incredibly powerful. And for a broader, AI-assisted academic search to build out that initial reading list, Semantic Scholar is your best bet. Because these tools only pull from peer-reviewed corpora, you aren't constantly fighting against internet hallucinations.
Section 3, Stage 2, Citation Mapping. Let's talk about finding connected works.
Okay, so once you have a few core papers, standard keyword searches hit a wall pretty fast because, well, you're limited by your own vocabulary. To fix this, we use a really cool workflow called citation snowballing. First, you start with one single anchor paper. Then, you use AI to map backward citations. Those are the older foundational works. Next, you map forward citations to see exactly who is citing your anchor right now. And finally, you identify clusters and outliers. This interactive visual network ensures you haven't missed some massive counterargument that could totally derail your thesis down the line.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how specialized these mapping tools have become. You can choose lit maps if you want a highly specific visual timeline of how papers interact. Connected Papers, on the other hand, gives you an instant semantic similarity snapshot of an entire field. Then there's Research Rabbit, which works almost like Spotify, doing background discovery and constantly recommending new papers based on your collections. And Insightful, it is lightning fast at finding bridge studies between two completely different fields. Talk about a great way to find a unique research gap.
I really want to highlight the practical power of Research Rabbit here. Specifically, its workflow integration. It's a free tool, and the timeline views are great, but the real game changer is its seamless connection with Zotero. As you're going down these deep, interactive rabbit holes of literature, you can just click a button and effortlessly sync those discoveries right to your reference manager. It perfectly bridges the gap between discovering that amazing paper and actually capturing the data to cite later.
Section 4, Stage 3, Data Analysis. Moving into qualitative workflows.
So, your literature is mapped, and you've finally gathered your data. For qualitative researchers dealing with interviews, this is usually the most exhausting part. Journals today demand strict transparency and rigor, and let's face it, qualitative datasets can easily span hundreds of pages. Using AI here, it accelerates your workflow from weeks down to literally hours. It handles massive data volumes, detects subtle patterns, improves reliability in your initial coding, and just massively reduces your cognitive load. But remember our golden rule? AI handles the mechanical sorting, but you have to validate the codes and maintain total interpretive control.
And this brilliantly illustrates the industry standards right now. And Vivo's AI engine is exceptional for automated pattern detection and suggesting codes. Atlas TI is incredible if you need deep conceptual mapping and visual networks of how themes relate to each other. And Max QDA is highly respected for mixed method synthesis and smart coding. These tools give you a really powerful head start on clustering themes without ever replacing your scholarly judgment.
Section 5, Stage 4, Evaluative Feedback. Time to protect your voice.
Now we reach the really delicate phase, the actual writing. Let's break down exactly what we mean by the anatomy of an academic voice. It basically consists of three crucial things: the credible, peer-reviewed evidence you select, your personal analysis interpreting why that evidence matters, and the original conclusions you draw through your own independent reasoning. If you completely outsource the drafting of your paragraphs to an AI, you short-circuit that entire deliberative thinking process and you lose all three of these elements. You absolutely have to protect this.
So how do you actually get help without cheating? You use evaluative AI, not generative AI. A tool like Thesify is perfectly designed for this. Instead of generating text for your paper, it gives you reviewer-style critique. It anticipates the exact methodological questions a journal editor is going to ask. It checks for hypothesis alignment, flagging if your discussion is drifting away from your original thesis. It runs a purpose check to evaluate your structure, your logic, and your evidence, all while keeping the actual words completely your own.
To summarize this stage, the distinction here is massive. Generative writing tools, like Geni AI for example, draft text, they paraphrase for you, and they introduce significant academic risk while totally killing your voice. Evaluative writing tools, on the other hand, refine your structure, tighten your logic, and check your evidence alignment. They test your writing, they don't replace it. This keeps the interpretation entirely in your hands where it belongs.
Section 6. Ethical AI Disclosure. Understanding University Policies.
Okay, so you have your final draft. But as we approach the final submission, you have to navigate some pretty strict university rules regarding transparency. Everything rests on three core principles of ethical use. First, verify. We all know AI hallucinates. Never ever cite an AI summary. Always use it for screening, but verify the claims in the primary text. Second, disclose. You must follow your institutional policies transparently. Trust me, it is always safer to declare your AI use than to withhold it. And third, refine. Use AI to check clarity and consistency, sure, but do not ever outsource your core argument.
Let's move to and see how this builds in the real world. This is the exact template from K. Leuven for declaring the use of generative AI in a doctoral thesis. You actually have to sign a statement detailing precisely which tools you used, whether for brainstorming, language assistance, or visual generation, and declare that you take full responsibility for the final content. This grounds all the theory right into the concrete paperwork a university will expect you to sign today.
And before we wrap up, I need to deliver a massive, absolutely critical privacy warning. Generative AI cannot be used on data under non-disclosure agreements or containing sensitive personal information. You must never input sensitive patient data or classified interview transcripts into an unapproved cloud-based AI tool. You literally lose control of that data the second you hit enter, which is a massive breach of research ethics. Always check your institutional guidelines on data privacy.
Well, we've covered a lot of ground today, from smart source discovery to ethical disclosure. But as you build your 2026 tech stack, I want to end this explainer with one final drop-the-mic question. Ask yourself this every single time you open a new tool. Are you letting AI do your thinking or just the heavy lifting? Keep your focus on the process, protect your academic voice, and let the technology work for you, not instead of you. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and happy researching.